What is spirituality? Right? Because everyone says they want spirit. Well, not everyone. A lot of people are satisfied. And maybe that's kind of the first definition. You can say, it's not a definition, but let's rule out some things. If you're completely satisfied with everything you have in this world, in the material world, and you don't have a desire for anything else, meaning you have your job, your house, your family, and you're just, you're fulfilled, then maybe spirituality isn't yet for you. And the reason why I'm saying yet is because eventually it's for everyone, but maybe not right now. So what is spirituality? Let's take a look. Let's go to the drawing board. I like drawing. Okay, so let's say this is you. I know I'm an amazing artist. No words. So this terrible stick figure is you. But you're not terrible, you're awesome. Now, you live in this world, and in this world, you're constantly interacting with reality. And what do I mean by interacting? If you're looking at something, you're interacting with it, right? Because it means that the rays of light that are bouncing off the fluorescent lights here are hitting an object, and this ray of light hits my eye, and my eye is like a filter, and it interprets it in some way. So, and this is the same with all of our senses. I can hear something, so some kind of wave hits my eardrum, and the vibration of it is interpreted as a signal, which translates it to some kind of sound. The same with touch. Basically, everything is interaction. So we're constantly interacting with the world outside of us. And let's say this is this world. Actually, an interesting point about this world is that scientists, they did an experiment and they connected a person to electrodes, and they wanted to check what their brain activity is, meaning how much information they're interacting with every moment. What they found is that every second they interact with 400 billion bytes of information per second. So every second, that's the amount of information that their brain interacts with. And then they checked what amount of this data the brain is able to interpret. And what did they find? Take your guesses. I'll give you a few seconds to write your guess. Out of the 400 billion bytes of information a second, out of that, how much was the brain able to interpret? So I'll give you a few more seconds. Okay, the answer is, drum roll, 2,000, that's it. 2,000 bytes of information. That's all. So that's 2,000 out of 400 billion. So let's just write it like this. That equals to 0.000000005%. That's it. That's all you can interact with. It's nothing. Now, I'm not saying that the remaining part is spirituality. I'm just saying that we have no idea what reality we're in. So we think, we know the world, we know everything that's around us, we know nothing. We have no idea where we're at. We're just like this limited being that's in a reality that we don't even know what it is, and we're interacting with a fraction of it, a tiny little piece of nothing of what it really is, and this is the picture that paints what we call our world, our life, our existence. And imagine for a second all of the hardships that a person is going through, or the good things that are happening to him or her. And all of this is within that tiny fraction of reality that is digestible, that is accessible, that you can interpret. So this is just an interesting fact that I like sharing sometimes, but let's go back to what is spirituality. So let's start fresh. So again, to the beautiful stick figure. So we have you interacting with the world. And basically, spirituality is simply something that is, let's say, outside. Well, it's not really outside, but let's say it's more expanded. Okay? So the spiritual is something that we have a feeling that it's there. We might believe that it's there, or someone told us, or we just have this gut feeling that there is something more, something beyond this capsule that we're kind of locked in with our senses, because we don't naturally sense the spiritual world. We can feel it, we can maybe imagine it, we can try and kind of envision it, but we don't sense it like we sense with our five senses, as tangible as our taste, touch, hear, smell is, etc. But in fact, we can. All we need to do is we need to develop this additional sense that will enable us to interact with this reality. So I don't want to call it a sixth sense, because that could be misleading, as if it's like the five senses but just another one. But let's say it's a sixth sense, just because it's easy to think of it that way, although it's on a different level. Plus, you can't imagine it anyway. Can you imagine what sense you're missing? Try for a second. Try and imagine what kind of sense you're missing. What is that sense? You can't, because as long as you don't have it, you can't even imagine what it is. Only if someone has that sense, they can maybe tell you about it, and they can say, look, you know, this sense can help you do this or that. And that's the spiritual world that we imagine, that we hear about, that we want to reach. And in fact, there are people that have developed this sense of the spiritual world. And first of all, they describe it as ultimate fulfillment, as infinite pleasure. Basically, they describe it as the opposite of this world. So if this world is limited pleasure, fleeting pleasures, right? The pleasure is immediately cancelled as soon as we interact with it. And this goes for anything. So as soon as you interact with the pleasure, it starts disappearing. It's like the system is rigged. And it is, in fact. That rig of the system is called tzimtzum. We're not going to go into tzimtzum right now, but that's what it's called, and it is in fact rigged. It's rigged so that within this current setting, we cannot receive fulfillment. Well, you can call it fulfillment. You enjoy your food, you might enjoy other things, but they're fleeting, they're not lasting. And spirituality is perceived as something that's eternal. And in fact it is. It's an eternal sense of pleasure, an eternal, infinite sense of fulfillment.